to bed at midnight, and I'm like, let's create a calendar so we can have consistency.
I'm like tired throughout the day, and then I get at like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I'm like wide awake, and I'm like, let's deep clean my apartment and organize all my clothes.
Well, and then like my days are pretty long, probably like yours, and so then the only time it really slows down to think is when I get home, and so I'm like, okay,
Yep, it's like, oh, I can't do it.
And I didn't pull it away. Oh, were you able to look at that fire agreement that I was trying to find yesterday?
Oh, no. Who was it? Did she do it at the
I have, the buyer sent,
I have more clients that are all in our check right now. And I said, call it as a new agent, trying to juggle all of that. I was like, it's a lot. But I said, so for me to talk about listings, I was like, I said,
what was the name?
You can actually manage like 30, 40 listings at a time as an individual, and manage probably 7 to 10 buyers at max. Because they want to see
Get close.
the show. And then if you guys are not using
That way.
I use it's always you literally put them in contract and you tell her what.
I could have done it just out on the.
he doesn't have
She was here. I think so. She had a coach. Kenneth? I keep forgetting. Kenneth? Miles is his name? Oh, right. Kenneth.
They have two prices. Your listing side, they'll do per listing, they'll do all your paperwork.
I'm not getting my
Client, request, photos, put it in all
You're the
that.
one. I just asked everyone. I'm connected to it, and I keep getting.
And they'll bill you on the listing side.
Probably when I was fixing your DocuSign.
You don't pay anything.
That would explain it. Because I'm like, I'm just trying to get into demand. And it doesn't tell me. I was like, because I've been getting them for a while, and I'm like, who is this? But no one would ever ask.
See it, let me know.
I will. I'll look at it.
And I submitted my application.
Good. Trust. Didn't sign it.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Okay.
I don't check emails.
Oh.
Hold out
I have, like, the only time I check my email it's not silly. That's the only time it's important. I got it.
I was getting stressed. I was like, well, I'm just gonna email this to you. I know. I was like, let me. Well, use numbers. You order a plaque?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
we gotta.
I should add that to my thing next year.
What?
For their flag, I'll make it for less than that.
Okay, guys. 7 sets to 10 listings a month in 7 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. But I have a date. I have a date with Alex Strauss. We already did that.
I have a date at 12:30.
Well,
Not to it. I'm excited.
Okay, have any of you guys been to this class?
No.
Okay, this class.
No. I'm glad.
And you're gonna probably recognize this.
I will.
Yeah. So, this class came from actually a session at Family Reunion back in 2016, a breakout session. And if you want the video actually of Cody Gibson teaching it, text me or message me and I'll send it to you. It was probably one of the most phenomenal classes I'd ever been in. And there were maybe 4,000 people in the room. It was crazy. It was insane. Huh?
I'm texting you right now.
Yeah, I'll get it for you. It's in Connect. So basically, class is called 7 Steps to 10 Listings in a Month. And I haven't taught it in a while, but I worked with Cody in 2017 and 2018 as a regional director for his sales team. And I traveled around our region and taught this class about almost 100 times in a year. So we'll see how rusty I am. Bo was going to be here to teach and he couldn't get up here today. So we're going to talk about what would it look like to take 10 listings in 30 days, and then what would it look like to take 10 listings every 30 days, okay? So the step number 1, and by the way, I'll say, I did this. I took this class in 2016. I signed up for Bold in the fall of that year, and that Bold session was in Cincinnati. I drove up every week from Lexington. Pat Mancuso was the coach, and I was committed in that Bold to making whatever calls I needed to make and doing whatever I needed to do to take 10 listings a month. And I got that little spark from this training. So I showed up to Bold the first week, and I had a list of expired sellers printed. And they get to the call time, and Pat Mancuso was the coach, and he was tenacious. You guys will probably not have an opportunity to meet him because he doesn't coach anymore, but let me just say, he's like a 12 on a scale of 1 to 10 on accountability. And that's why I drove up, by the way, because talent looks for accountability. Like if you're committed to your goals, it's whatever it takes to get there. So I drove up, I got up at like 4:30 on Bold weeks and drove up. It was up north of Cincinnati. And first week, we're in our call block, and Pat Mancuso says, everybody get out your list. You all have your list, because I told you to bring a list, right? I'm ready. I have a list. I wasn't actually going to call the list. This was my 4th or 5th session of Bold, and if I'm being completely honest, the first 4 times, I never called a single person. Do you guys believe that? It's true. Yeah, I had a great time with all the Bold laws and the cultural stuff, but I did not pick up the phone and make calls. So this session, I'm like nervous wreck, but I'm going to do whatever I got to do with some listings. And I've got my list, and Pat Mancuso walks over, and he stands next to me. He knows my husband. He stands next to me, and he goes, well, get out your phone. And I'm like, I got it. And he goes, no, I mean, like, turn it on. And start dialing. And I'm like, I will. And he goes, I know, because I'm going to stand here. Okay. And so I pull out the script, and I don't know the script, but it's on a piece of paper. First of all, the first line was a $1.5 million expired. So already I have 14 reasons why I should not call. Like, they're not going to answer. I've never sold $1 million house. They don't, that's an expired listing. They're not going to list with a random, I mean, I had all these limiting beliefs. So I pull out the list, and he's like, call that number right there. And I'm going to wait, and I'm going to listen. No pressure.
Right.
Hearing, I'm going, please don't answer, please don't answer. And they answered. It was a woman, and she answered, and I read, hello, my name's Taria Smith. I work at Keller Williams, and I specialize in expired listings. I noticed that your property recently expired from the market, and I'm curious When do you plan to hire the right agent to list your house? I think that's the script. And I read it, and she said, thank you so much for calling, you know.
You're actually gonna thank
You guys know what happened, right?
You got the list.
I went out and listed that house and the farm next door and multiple other properties because that house was owned by a guy named Dr. Sod, who owns all of the Shakespeare Company restaurants all around the country, and him and his wife were getting divorced. And I got Mrs. Sod, and she put me in a meeting with Dr. Sod, and I took somebody with me to the appointment because I was, I think I took Bo. I need you to come to close this deal.
Well, she also was probably, you know, wanting to do business with a female as well.
Yeah, so here we go.
Like, you're going through it more than you do.
How is that for my batting average? And then I was like, whoa, this works. And I started calling them every day. And I listed the first 6 months of, and by the way, bold and the new year. You guys know the biggest day of the year for expired listings?
January 1st.
January 1st. So first thing is don't ever have a listing expire of 12/31. Ever, 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 ever.
And in the future, it's also the end of every month. So first day of every month is when you're gonna get your expireds.
So January 1st of 2017, my team got up and we were sitting in the market center at 8 a.m. counting those sums. And we put a pipeline together that day. I listed 48 properties from January 1st to mid-June. It works. So anyways, that was a long intro story. But anyway, here's number one. And this one, in my opinion, this one was my guiding light, which is you make one listing appointment every day, no matter what. One listing appointment every day, no matter what. That is your job. And what that means is, well, you tell me, what does no matter what mean?
You don't stop till you get it done.
Period. Yeah, you
You
don't
don't
stop.
do first thing in the morning until it's.
Who's got a calculator? Let's do some math. I like math.
as long as-
Okay, how many working days do we actually have? About 5 days a week. I would work Saturdays if I didn't set my appointment Monday to Friday. And if I didn't set my appointment Monday to Friday, I worked on Saturday morning.
So 5 times 52 weeks is 260.
Okay, let's do 5 times 48. You get 2 weeks of vacation a year. 240. Okay, 240 times, what's the average gross commission income? Actually, let's do this. That's an appointment. We've got some fallout. Multiply that by 75%. 25% of the sellers is 180. There you go. Okay, so 180 sold listings times the average gross commission income in the market.
Is that like at 6,000?
Let's just say it's 10. What do you guys, that's too high?
It's close. 320-ish thousand.
9 grand.
That's 9.
Let's say 9. What's 180 times 9?
Awesome.
Yes, it's right. There's a lot of zeros in that number.
I have 1,620,000. That's not right.
That is right.
Is that right?
180,000, 180 properties times 9,000 is how much?
1.6.
Okay, can we all agree that 90% of success is mindset? Because all we have to do is decide, we're not gonna leave work every day until we set one appointment. We already calculated fallout, 25% fallout. $1.6 million business. All you gotta do is set an appointment, Monday through Friday, 48 weeks a year. And that's actually what I committed to. So I was just gonna set an appointment every day, no matter what. Now, here's the thing. The sleeping bag represents the no matter what part. Because if your one job every day is to set an appointment, and let's say you come in, 8 o'clock, 8:30, do your scripts and role play, get on the phone, first person you call. Michelle calls it for sale by owner, she books an appointment. Can we all agree that she could technically go home today? I think she can. I believe that she can go home today. The flip side of that is, if she comes in on Tuesday, and she gets on the phones, and she calls 55 people and doesn't get the appointment, she's gotta keep going. So you get to decide. If we're gonna leave at 9 and start day drinking, or whatever y'all do when you do work at 10 o'clock in the morning, you're gonna leave early because you set the appointment, you gotta stay late and you know. I like to play, I set my appointments like I was in a casino. If I was having a hit, a day where I was hitting, I was gonna max out my day. If I set one in the first 5 minutes, I'm feeling good, I'm probably gonna set another one in the next 30. And you can move 5 in a day, and that's your week, that's your choice. But 1 a day is the standard, right? So no matter what means no matter what. Making the appointment means we're making calls. Even if it takes 10, 20, or 50 calls, you don't stop calling until you have that appointment. And the reality is you can start this when. You can start it today. And this doesn't say you have to cold call. I just told you 61% of your past clients are going to give a referral this year. You can get your appointment however you want to. Step number 2, visit 1 for sale by owner or expired door each day. Sure. Here's what Cody said on this, by the way. He said, well, no, this is a little further. 1 appointment a day, no matter what. We'll just keep that there. All right. Step number 2, visit 1 for sale by owner or expired door each day. Which means we actually have to get up and get dressed and go work for a while, drive around and visit somebody. Now, this is a true story. I've only door knocked 1 expired listing in my entire career. I did accidentally door knock the wrong address on a FSBO one. I door knocked an expired listing back in like 2009, and I was terrified. And so I didn't work at Keller. So they didn't teach this. I heard it at some kind of training, probably at the local association. And so there was an expired listing. I went and did the research. I made this really beautiful flyer. It took me all day. I made the flyer. I'm like, I'm going to go out and knock on this door. And I drive out and I go up to the front door and I knock. And this old woman opened the door and she looked kind of mean. She was like, what do you want? Like, hello? And I'm like, hi, my name's Tara, and I have this flyer for you. Like, I was basically like, hey, I saw that your house expired off the market. It's in a great area. It looks like a great listing. I'd love to take a tour and talk to you about what it might look like to have somebody else sell it. We didn't have scripts at that company, so I was just guessing. Anybody know how that went? You listed it. I listed that property. I started talking, and she responded, and she softened up. She said, hey, why don't you just come in and I'll give you a tour right now. And here I go in her house, and she toured me around, and I didn't know how to close, so I left all the information, and I said, why don't you think about it and call me if you decide to sell your house. And about 3 days later, she called the office and said, some little girl came by and dropped a flyer, and I want to list my house with her. And I listed that house, and I sold it within 3 weeks, and she bought a house in South Carolina that I referred to another agent. So here's what I'll tell you. Couple things. One is it's a numbers game. I got lucky, but I feel confident if I did this enough, I would sell more real estate. The other one is it's a mindset thing. You can control this. You can control, like here's my rule of thumb. I'm gonna lay my head on the pillow every night and know that I gave 100%, regardless of what happened. Like maybe I didn't set an appointment that day. Maybe I've got to get 2 tomorrow. Or maybe somebody chewed me out on their front porch. I don't know. I've never had that happen. But the reality is I'm going to lay my head on the bed and know that I left it all in the field. It's the only way I can rest. That's just how I'm wired. So visit 1 for sale by owner expired every day. And I'll just say this. I'll ask you this question. What's behind that door? When you see that door, what's behind the door for you?
A yes or a no, it's that simple.
Opportunity,
listing.
a yes or a no, a listing. For me,
It's not that simple.
I'll just be honest, if I were walking up, I would be afraid. That's okay. I do lots of things afraid. But what you choose is behind that door is the thing that's gonna cause you to open the door. And only you can choose that. You can control that. You can do that math of 180 times 9 and decide if you're willing to knock on those doors and have $1 million business in life, right? Okay, so we got to get out and knock a door every day, one door a day. Why do we work for sell by owners and expireds? Other than all the stats I just gave you. Because for sell by owners have one hand in the air saying, I want to sell. They don't know yet that they are going to sell with an agent. But expireds have two in the air that say, I want to sell my house and I'm actually willing to use an agent to do it. So why would we not talk to these people, right? So the reality is you've got to show up in those conversations and just be ready for good things to happen. Okay, eraser. How many of you guys are using a 411 consistently in your business? Okay, so the 411 or the principle around this is if you erase something on your goals or commitments, you must replace. And so that means I'm not delusional to think life doesn't show up. Sometimes we are committed to setting an appointment every day and life shows up, right? Life showed up for Patrick Garvey. Like life shows up. But the reality is the best in the business, especially ones committed at this level, they just say, okay, yesterday I didn't get my appointment, so today I'm going to get 2. And they don't just allow commitments to fall off, they pick them up and take them forward. So if you erase something, you got to replace it. Step number 3, follow-up Wednesdays. Cody taught me this, and I still believe in this practice. And it's a little bit different than the MREA, but I think it's effective. Okay, so what Cody taught us is rather than, how many of you guys do lead gen and lead follow-up every day? Or you understand that that's our model? Monday through Friday, 3-hour time block. Did you guys know the 3-hour time block is for an MREA agent? Anybody heard an MREA yet? I'm going to give you permission to let yourself off the hook right now. 3 hours of lead gen a day is probably not what your business needs if you're not already an MREA. And the reality is that 3-hour time block has 30 minutes of prep, an hour of lead gen, an hour of lead follow-up, and 30 minutes of handwritten notes and recap and updates. You guys know that? So 3 hours of lead gen is not actually like jump in and call for 3 hours.
Could you repeat that again? 30 minutes of prep, 1 hour of calls.
1 hour of lead gen, 1 hour of lead follow-up, and then you have 30 minutes of probably handwritten notes and updating your database and things like that. That is the MREA, like lead gen for 3-hour window. The challenge I found is I didn't want to talk to new people. Like cold calling and lead generation and a new thing was harder for me. So I would get into my day and I would start doing lead follow-up, and then I would lead follow-up for 2 hours. And then the next day I would start lead following up again because the fear of calling new people was greater than me just touching people I already knew. So then what happens is you look up and you have no new business. And you're just kind of beating the same people to death that aren't ready to buy or sell. So what Cody taught us is rather than every day do both, pick one day a week that's dedicated to lead follow-up. And he suggested follow-up Wednesdays. And so in my schedule, in my sales schedule, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday were lead gen days. Wednesday, I had a 2-hour block. It was all follow-up. And it's really nice because when you talk to a for sale by owner or an expired or anybody, and I would say, okay, Mr. Seller, how long do you plan to sell your house yourself before you list with an agent? I say 2 weeks. Then I would say, that's great. Can I have permission to just follow up with you so I could be an option when you're ready? Yes. Okay, so if it's okay, I'm gonna follow up with you then. Next Wednesday. Everybody I said, I'm gonna follow up with you next Wednesday or on Wednesday. And in the time block, I would just have a list of people I need to call. And that would be a repeating list. And then once they moved into active listing or whatever, I would take them out of my follow-up list. So that might be an option for you. And the script, which I'm going to show you on the next slide, is super simple. So on follow-up Wednesdays, you're going to follow up with all your old leads, 3, 6, 12 weeks past. It's a simple script, and it just says, hey, hey Susan, I just wanted to call and follow up. And then you say again, I'm going to follow up with you on Wednesday the blank or next Wednesday, right? And the way Cody said this is, I just wanted to call and follow up. If you need anything real estate related this week, please give me a call. That's it. So you literally just go through the whole follow-up list. Hey, Susan, it's Tara. I told you I'd call you on Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Just wanted to follow up and see if you needed anything real estate related this week. Super simple.
So nothing specific, even though you know they're specific, just keep it casual.
Keep it casual.
Yeah,
Like
because they may have something that's real estate related, but not specific to that thing.
Yeah.
So you're trying to keep it open for them to just.
And like, here's the thing, if you're actively searching, you might say, hey, did you see the 3 properties that, we sent out this week, which are probably on an auto prospecting list. You could also say, if they say, yep, we're good, we're not planning to buy in the next 90 days, you may not need to call them every week based on their timeline, right? But just have them somewhere in a Wednesday follow-up. But I would also ask for referrals. So you could call a follow-up lead. You guys know that one of the best places to get leads is your current pipeline. So if I have 50 people in my pipeline that are going to buy or sell sometime in the next 2 years, every time I talk to those 50, it makes sense to say, hey, you're in this process. You probably are talking to other people that are also considering buying or selling. So who else do you know that may also be in a similar process that I could reach out to and offer my services? Yeah, one of the #1 places to find business is your current pipeline. There used to be an agent, I don't remember who it was, but he went out and bought playing cards that looked like his business card. You can buy these online. It looks like a deck of cards, but it's your business card on the back. And every time he would sit down on a buyer consultation or a listing presentation, he would fan out 5 cards and he would say, I want you to hold these 5 cards. What I know to be true, because statistically we know this, is sometime in your process of buying and selling with me, you're going to bump into 5 people that are also looking to buy or sell. And my ask is that you share my contact information and introduce us in a 3-way text message. So you could literally take one deal and turn it into 5 by setting that expectation. Right? Okay. Next one. Utilize a buyer listing program. Utilize a buyer listing program. Okay, so buyer listings. So I think about buyer listings as we take, just like we market a seller, we should have a buyer listing program to market our buyers. And so you're going to see on the slide coming up where we're going to talk about going out on social media and saying like, hey, I have a buyer looking in XYZ zip code. Who do I know that might be considering selling? Think about that. You know how we talked about the 14-step seller listing marketing plan? You guys remember that? So my question is for you, do you have a 14-step buyer listing plan that allows you to attract seller listings? Right? So what are some examples of that? Could we go farm a neighborhood? If I had a buyer that wanted to be in a specific neighborhood, could one of my marketing strategies be that I walk around that neighborhood and say I have a buyer?
Yeah.
Could we do a postcard mailer to a neighborhood? Could we do a targeted social post to a neighborhood? And there's so many things you can do, right? Open houses, right? Open houses. And you're gonna walk the neighborhood and say, hey, I have a listing. Probably gonna have 50 people in our open house this weekend, and yet only one can buy it. So I'm curious who around, who do you know in the neighborhood that would also consider selling, maybe even off market? Anybody ever gotten multiple offers with buyers? Multiple offers? Has anybody taken the losing offers and blacked out the price and the names and knocked the neighborhood and held up the 5 offers and said, hey, my name's Tara. Here's the name. Doesn't have to be your listing. Who has a listing in here you recently sold? Did you have multiple offers?
Yeah.
Okay. 5 offers. I'm gonna go to Doreena's neighborhood that she sold a property, and I'm gonna say, hey, my name's Tara Smith. I work at Keller Williams. We just sold a house in your neighborhood, and we had multiple offers on the property. I'm gonna hold up 5 offers. I'm just walking around today because there are 4 people that did not get an opportunity to purchase and live here. Who do you know that would be considering selling that I could speak to see if we have a match for one of these guys in their property? That's how you advertise buyer listings to get additional. The goal is to always get seller listings, right? You all want seller listings, but you can generate those for buyer leads. Okay. This is the social media post. So the thing about the social post is it needs to be specific, and barring anything with fair housing, I would recommend attaching the fields as much as you can and have permission, okay? So you might find a home for the buyer, but more importantly, when you make posts on social media saying, hey, I have a buyer looking in XYZ area, sellers that see your posts know that you represent a lot of buyers. And the more frequently you do this, the more buyers they believe you have. Okay? So the other thing I'll say about this business to business posting is you want to know on the platform you're posting on where the highest activity times are. And you can chat GPT or you can Google this. Facebook, 1 to 3 p.m. on Wednesdays or weekends late morning was the highest traffic. That's when you want to drop those strategic posts. Also, just go live on video. Have a piece of paper and say, guys, I need your help. I've got 5 buyers looking right now in the market. They're willing to pay market value. You could drop a couple stats, and then you just say, if you know of anybody considering selling a home in this area, this area, this area, this area, please message me offline. If you did that every week, you guys would get seller leads. You know that, right? These are some examples. Sorry, it's a little blurry, but you can see here, they're putting pictures of what the property might look like that they're looking for. And this one says, I have a client who's been looking for a bungalow in Southeast Portland near Hawthorne, Belmont, or Division for under $500,000. A sweet location is his top priority. The size and condition of the home are of little concern. Who do you know looking to sell in the near future? This isn't I'm looking for a 3-2 and 40509 for 500. This looks like we're actually searching for a human, right? Make it personable and then share it wherever you can. Now, you see here on the left, they're sharing it with everybody except other real estate agents. Why would we maybe do that?
Because the agents will call.
They might.
They do.
Could be the other side of the deal. The other thing is you might have 15 agents say, I've got a listing, I've got like the goal, we're not looking for active inventory, we're looking for off-market inventory. So if 27 agents say, oh, I know of 13 properties for sale there, it kind of is going to defeat the purpose of random people saying, I have a friend looking to sell in that area. Okay, number 5, every seller every week. Okay, so this is a model. When you start taking your listings, part of your brand promise and value proposition is going to be, Mr. Seller, You will hear from me every single week about the activity on your listing. And when I hired my first assistant, you guys, we've talked about this, at 24 units, you should have an EA, an executive assistant. A third of her job was to service my sellers, because I was horrible at this. Like, I was horrible at it. I am very transactional by nature. So I just said, every Friday, actually, I think she did it on Wednesdays. Every Wednesday, she would call and check in. She would talk about activity, and we would discuss if we wanted to have an open house that weekend. So every week, they heard from my assistant. They knew what? What did they know because we called them every week?
Well, that you're on top of their property and their goal.
Yeah, they knew that we were watching the activity. They knew we were watching the listing. They knew we would send out the feedback reports and showing time. We would talk about our upcoming strategy and our marketing strategy. Like, they knew that I wasn't going to list the property and never see them again. And on the flip side of that, so call them every week. You work hard for the listings. Don't throw them away. I got to go back and say this. Here's what I'm going to tell you about every seller every week. I set the expectation. Cody taught me this. When I listed a property, I would say, okay, so we're going to price the property. You're going to hear from me every week. If the property has not sold in 3 weeks, I'm going to call you and ask you to come into the market center and sit down and review the listing with me. And I want them to come here and do it. Why do I want them to come here?
Takes them out of their comfort zone, submit a professional place.
So many reasons. Yeah. When you guys go out to list their house, we kick our shoes off at the door. We walk around, we sit at the table, they offer us coffee, maybe some cookies. We're on their playing field. Have they ever seen you in this environment? Have they ever sat in a conference room and had you pull reports and show them actual data, run searches? Probably not, but is it good for them? Yeah, it is actually a little inconvenient, and we want that. Because the right sellers, when they're motivated to sell, they're going to drive up here, you're going to tour the market center, you're going to see them, and then we're going to show up like a professional, because they've never seen you in your professional environment. What do you think? Am I going to get a better price reduction or adjustment at the market center or at their kitchen table? So why don't we do it? If we know it works better, why do we not do it? Because we don't want to come to the market center. I can't fix that for you. That's your problem. It's not mine. Okay, so that's the plan is if they don't sell in 3 weeks, you're coming up to the office, and actually I'll be there, and I might have to pull in a partner on my team to review the listing as well, because if it takes that long and we're priced right, we probably are going to need to make a serious adjustment. Okay. For sale by owner deals, if you must. So for sale by owner deals, the way Cody taught this was we taught our agents on our team to do 7-day for sale by owner listings. Okay, we would do short-term listings for sale by owners. And what I mean is I would call a for sale by owner listing. A lot of times I got the listing, but if they were really apprehensive, I would say a couple of things. One option was, let's list the property together. Let's host the open house together. If a buyer comes in and they want to purchase, you're going to keep your buyer. And yet what I know to be true is less than 1% of homes sell at open house. That's an actual statistic. So what I'd love to do is come in, be a professional on site to answer questions about the buying process. And the 99% that this may not be the right fit for, I would like to just capture those leads and see if we could identify something else. So I'm just going to go have an open house and take the buyer leads.
So to do that open house, we're saying something about a 7-day listing. Are you saying you list it for 7 days for the open house?
So that's option 2. Option 1 is we just co-open. Option 2 is, and this is the one you're going to want to go for.
Okay.
Mr. Seller, I have an entire suite of services that we put together. We have what's called a 7th level open house. You guys all know 7th level open house, right? Read your shift book. If you haven't read it. We teach this, I think, in Ignite as well. 7th level open.
MREA.
Yeah, the MREA. You can Google it too. But, so, Mr. Seller, I'd love to come out and host it with you, and I'll just pick up those buyers that aren't a good fit and answer questions and be a third party on site. But option 2 is actually a little bit better because I offer a 7th level open house experience that I feel really confident would help us secure the buyer. Okay, and so what that looks like is we would need to list your house for just 7 days. And that's, sorry, our broker's here. The brokers are here. I always tell people, check with your broker.
So we're good, guys. We're good.
7-day listing looks like this. I'm gonna probably list the property on a Saturday or a Sunday, week before. You may choose to go get photography done. It's your choice, but we're going to do the 7th level open. We're gonna do door knocking, postcard mailers. It's gonna go on the MLS for 7 days. And if it's priced right, what's probably gonna happen? You're probably gonna sell it. Like you can, I mean, you can do it 7, you can do it 14, however you wanna do it. I have people that have done it a 3-day listing. But it allows you to actually advertise as a listing agent. So it's just that. And then another situation we did with for sale by owners is we can't really do variable rate commissions, but I have this flyer I can drop in the Facebook group. I don't think it's in here. No. Basically, I would take a listing with a for sale by owner and I would say, I'll offer you options. If you find the buyer yourself, I'll do the paperwork for 1%. If I find the buyer, X%, and if another agent finds the buyer, X% of the offer to go up. It's just options. The reality is they never sell the house themselves. And almost 99% of the time another agent sells it, and so you end up with traditional listings, right? What Cody said is to get 10 listings a month, you've got to do whatever you have to do. If you're short of the goal, do whatever it takes. And because the reality is you want to get in the habit of taking 10 listings a month, and then 10 great listings will come. And this is what happened. We started taking all the crappy listings because I just wanted 10. And I was not going to stop until I got 10. And I was driving an hour away, hour and a half away for all these expireds. And after about 90 days, I looked up and I had so much activity. I started going, I don't think I'm going to drive an hour and a half. I'm going to max at 45 minutes. Do you get what I'm saying? So once you get into listing momentum, then you might decide what are the 10 great listings you're going to take. But until you hit the goal, you don't have that option. I'm just going to say that again. I hear agents say, I went out and interviewed, but I decided not to take the listing because it was overpriced. Big mistake. Sorry, what I said.
No, I agree with you. I
Because
just
what
followed one
happens,
for 4 months. I finally sold it. Got a $12,000 paycheck.
if you're not hitting your financial goals and you decide you're not going to take the listing, Doreena's going to come list it at their price, and 3 weeks later, she's going to get the price reduction. And you get $0, and Dorena gets to sell that house. So until you're hitting your goals, you're going to take every single listing, even the overpriced ones. And if I'm being really honest, the 48 I took, that first 6 months, I probably didn't sell 50% of them. But you know what happened? I got a ton of buyer leads, a ton more listing opportunities, and it just created this windfall of activity to where I didn't have to drive as far and I got to pick the sellers I wanted to work with. So what Cody said here in his class was, I don't care if you have to put a sign in your own yard. When you commit to 10, it means 10. It means 10. Yes.
You said you wouldn't take a listing because it's sold. I mean, you would take a listing.
Yeah.
It's sold full price.
Yeah.
What about if the house just looks disgusting?
Yeah.
You would still take it.
I would take it. I would, like, here's the thing. I'm not gonna go down about five. Like, I'm going to coach them on price, condition, location, how to get the best price. We might do a showing tour with my office to get feedback. I'm gonna do everything I can to get them price right and get clarity. But I'm not gonna walk away from 10 grand because they're 20,000 over less price. Just be real diligent about the communication on pricing. If it doesn't sell in 3 weeks, you're gonna have to come back up to the market center so we can discuss and even possibly pre-sign listing adjustment forms.
That's what I do a lot.
Yeah, just, I'll do it your way, but at how many weeks, what's our timeline for us to start moving in my direction?
And the market, and that all depends on the market, like you have to be careful, it's not always weeks, it can be days.
Yeah, could be.
And it can be very stressful on the agent.
Yeah.
Just giving you a heads up, but it's okay, because it does.
Yeah, because if you don't tell them that their price may not sell it, and you just say, I'll list it there, and it doesn't sell, then you gotta go back and have a real hard conversation. How I'm talking to you guys is how I talk to my sellers. I care about them, and I wanna help them make the most money, so I've gotta be honest about the condition and the price that I feel confident we could get using a CMA, right? I'm not just guessing, I have a CMA on hand, right? Okay, step 7, practice the presentation. Practicing the presentation for the purpose of this class is your listing presentation. How many times a week are you guys practicing? So Cody's recommendation is that we practice the presentation every week and we practice it with 3 different types of people. Okay, so you're gonna practice the presentation with someone better than you. Maybe Peter, if you get Peter's up. How would you guys feel? I'm joking, but how would you guys feel if you called Peter and said, Peter, I'd like to role play my listing presentation, and he said, okay, I'll meet you at the office at 3 o'clock. How would you show up for that appointment? Yeah. Yeah, you'd show up differently for Peter, right? Because you want to show up really good for someone better than you, okay? The other side of that is we want to show up, we want to practice with someone newer than us. Why do we want to practice with somebody newer than us? I think we show up, our ego shows up differently when we are the expert. And we talk a lot about you want to master something, teach it.
Yeah.
So I believe that we want to look good and be right. We're going to show up differently, teaching someone else. I also think just culturally, we owe it to the people behind us to practice with them.
Less experience.
Less experience. So like if you've been licensed for a year and somebody joined the partners 2 weeks ago, you could just bump into their kitchen and say, hey, I'm looking for someone to practice my listing presentation. Sit down, just think of this. And then the third one is your coach. Practice with your coach. The reality is if you're not a capper yet, you should be in business coaching with us. And that means and that's Michelle Parsley right now, but you have a coach that can listen to where your fears are showing up or where you're uncomfortable with hard conversations. If you're a capper with us, then your MAPS coach can practice this with you. What'd you guys notice there? I don't believe there's ever a spot in your career where you're not in coaching. I have not been coached for the last 10 years. And for all intents and purposes, people think I have it figured out. Some people. I get on a call with my coach every week and he puts me back together. And he tells me what I need to focus on and he holds me accountable to it. And that will never stop. I will never not have a coach because it's too valuable to me because he hears my limiting beliefs. We all have them and he calls me out on it.
It's basically like the presentation, giving it to someone.
That's right. And he goes, wait a minute, why are you pausing right there?
Right.
When I ask you what's most important to you, why did you waver? You know that answer. Then you just go, yeah, you're right. Right? Okay, so practice your presentation. Who is this? Tom Brady. How much do you think Tom Brady had practiced playing the football?
His discipline is insane.
Yeah, so when you're an agent, and I don't care if you're a week in the business, 6 months, or a year in the business, if you get a listing opportunity and you show up and you've not practiced, that's called malpractice. It'd be like a doctor getting their license and never having gone to school and showing up to perform surgery on somebody. And I'll just recommend to you guys, like, it's actually like practicing on a $10,000 deal. It's not the best game. I wouldn't take that gamble. So be practicing throughout your week, 2 or 3 times a week. I'd recommend a couple hours a week until you've mastered your presentation and you can overcome objections and dig into the things that the sellers are going to dig into. It also gives you confidence, right? So when you're giving a presentation to a seller, that should not be practice time. It should be play time. Practice for 35 to 40 minutes a week. And, I'll say this on Tom Brady. There's a difference between Little League and the pros. Does the game change? Is how we track and keep score change?
It's how you show up.
It's how you show up. And professionals, I'll tell you a quick story, and I know 10 minutes after, I'll go quick. You guys have met Kelly Wyatt, our general manager. She's a professional pool player. Okay, she went to Twin City, Illinois last week in a tournament, and she played. We paid to get on and watch her play. I'm very interested in this. And Bo, I was in a plane, and Bo was sending me videos. Kelly was playing a 16-year-old girl. Her name is Savannah Easton. She's number 2 in the United States. She's 15. She's 15. And I went to her YouTube channel and I watched, and you know what I could tell? This girl has run that ball. When we say 10,000 hours, this girl has run that ball around that table. Like, she could probably do it with her eyes shut. Professionals practice until they can't get it wrong. Amateurs practice so they can try to get it right, but professionals practice until they cannot get it wrong. And Kelly is real good. She's nationally ranked. And she beat her a couple of rounds. But if Kelly slipped on one shot, if that girl got the ball, she ran it all the way home every time. It's crazy. Like, I have goosebumps. And what I thought a lot about that little girl. First of all, I was thinking about her loving the game, right? She's got to love that game, right? And the other thing I thought about is I kept telling Kelly, you need to whoop her backside. I'm saying it in a really nice way. And she'd be like, I got a 0. I like, girl, we don't do zeros, so you better get in there and win around, right? So I'm like, kind of playing with her on that. But I started thinking about Kelly can't increase her ranking unless she plays Kobe. I started thinking about Kobe Bryant, because you guys know I love Kobe Bryant. Kobe shot his free throws with the Achilles injury. I don't know if you guys know about that story. But I was thinking about Kelly beating this 15-year-old and all the things. And I thought, at some level, the gift is that she's even on the court. It'd be like me and Kobe standing up there. There's not a shot I'm going to beat him at free throws, because why? How many hours? Like, he just dominated that. And yet, the opportunity to play with somebody. So I'll say this, if you're not winning here, go sit with a professional. I've gone over to Peter's office. We sent our daughter over there, actually. They'll put a headset in your ear and a headset in James Ayers' ear, and you can literally listen to them pound appointments. You can go shadow any agent. Go find the people that are doing what you want to do and learn from them, right? So there's your review. Make 1 listing appointment every day. Visit a for sale by owner or expired every day. Follow up Wednesdays. Post I have a buyer message every week. Talk to every seller every single week. Work hard for your listings. Don't underservice them. Do for sell by owner deals if you have to, and practice your presentation weekly. What did you guys learn? Helpful?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Are we gonna go set an appointment today? Let's go set an appointment. Hey, here's what I know about that. That is actually just a choice. It's just a choice. We're on camera.
All right, guys. I gotta go have lunch with Alex. He won lunch. So I'll be back at like 2:30
for your class.
buyer consultation, buyer.
Seminar. Seminar.
Good. Buyer. Okay. First time home buyer. First time home buyers. I think lunch is over here for you guys. You ready?
Yeah, I wanted to get you all for tips on the food. So if you guys want to partake on the food, we have it in your food. We got some Caesar salad, cheese and a pepper. Salad.